The social media predator. Social media is a hunting ground for our kind. Easy to access, fast to access, the ability to orchestrate the provision of fuel and the assertion of control through the electronic superhighway, the ability to cast our net far and wide, the ability to conduct a long-distance ensnarement. Multiple options running alongside one another, supplementing the proximate fuel, the means by which luring in of somebody to become a proximate ensnarement begins. Social media is a hunting ground for our kind. And, of course, the things that you do and what you write with reference to your relevant profiles and what you show on social media signals to us your suitability for us to ensnare you. To give you some understanding, I'm going to provide you with 15 instances of information that appeals to our kind. I'm not doing this in terms of the class traits that we look for. For instance, a somatic narcissist would seek out those who post plenty of pictures of how physically attractive they are, their ongoing diet and exercise regime, and that would, of course, appeal to that somatic narcissist. What I'm going to do is highlight the number of instances on social media which tell our kind that this is a person who has a higher susceptibility to being seduced, i.e., the person has the relevant empathic traits, and thereafter, as we close in on that individual, we will seek to ascertain whether they have more of those empathic traits, the class traits and the special traits, so that an appropriate seduction should commence. Remember, the lower and mid-range narcissists see this instinctively. The greater narcissists and the ultra know precisely what we're looking for and the reasons why we are looking for that information. Here are 15 instances of what you might post on social media that signals to my kind that you are susceptible to seduction and being drawn into our alternate reality. Number 1, you include a detailed list of your favourite books, television programmes and films. I don't mean 3 or 4 of your favourites, but 15 or more in one or more of the categories I've just mentioned. This signals to us that you have not only the time to watch and detail these books and movies, but you are content for people to know that you do. This suggests that you may well be lonely, and therefore wanting attention from somebody, making it easier for us to seduce you. Number 2, you detail your relationship status. It doesn't matter what the status reads, because even if you stated that you're married, engaged, or in a relationship, we won't recognize any such boundary as being a hindrance to our advances. Indeed, our superiority and haughtiness causes us invariably to take the view that you're probably short of attention in that relationship and that therefore you are fair game. By declaring what your relationship status is, you are wanting to initiate contact, and you are providing us with material with which to use. If you don't feel the need to tell anybody your relationship status, that signals to us that your self-esteem is higher, because you don't need to herald it, and therefore you may well be proving more difficult to ensnare. Number 3, ask me, ask me, ask me. You're well aware of those statuses which read, "So angry right now," "I'm fuming," or "I'm totally heartbroken." Such statuses are just a fishing hook for nosy and supposedly supportive friends who are actually far more interested in showing concern and mock horror through some bad acting to then as to the writer what is up, what has happened, and what is going on. The mysterious injunction will then be issued for the apparently caring friend to inbox me, or "I will inbox you," as yet another noun suddenly finds that it has become a verb. These attention seekers are generally avoided by our kind. They may well be of our brethren, but they're certainly self-centered and self-absorbed, and therefore are far less likely to provide us with what we need. Therefore, they are far more likely to go down as an avoid. Number 4, I miss you. Anybody who posts about missing a relative or partner who has passed away, either directly by stating, "I miss you, Dad, you were my best friend," or post memes appertaining to people watching down from upon high, this lingering grief acts as a beacon to our kind and tells us that this person is susceptible to being ensnared far more readily because of their ongoing emotional state and their propensity to become emotional if the matter of the deceased individual is raised. 5. Frequent comment about events. You are interested in the world and other people. You are not there to keep showing us what you had to eat for dinner or your latest car. You give attention but don't get much in return. This then signals to us that you will be highly amenable to receiving unwavering attention. 6. More pictures of animals than people. This is not so much about you being an animal lover, which of course tells us that you have empathic traits, but it is more about the fact that once again you are a giver of attention to this lower life form, and you tend to get your attention back from the animal rather than people. It might be that you would rather keep the company of animals than people, although this is rarer than someone who likes animals and for once would enjoy the attention of another person, namely us. 7. Frequent comments about your achievements and what you have been doing. You may not be one of us, but you are certainly exhibiting narcissistic traits, and therefore caution will be exercised before we proceed. These might be narcissistic traits wrapped within empathic ones and used healthier, and we unearth additional information about you which encourages our targeting of you. But seeing this initially turns on an amber light, and we may move on to somebody else instead. Number 8. Sharing charity appeals. Yet another indicator that you are more giving of your time and attention to others as opposed to receiving it. An empathic trait and a most encouraging item to see on somebody's wall. 9. Pictures of family and friends. Few selfies. It may be the case that everything in your photo album is animal-based, and see the point that I made earlier. If there are pictures of people as well, we like to ascertain who these people are. If they are family and friends rather than random people from nights out, this again provides us with a positive indicator. If your photo album is full of you and nothing else, then another amber light will come on. 10. Your profile picture is a scene, an object, but not you. This suggests again to us that your self-esteem might not be what it should be, that you are not keen to be the centre of attention, and as a consequence this acts as a beacon to our kind. It may, of course, mean that you're unfortunately faced, although that won't be as much of a concern, if it is a cerebral or victim narcissist that is scouring through and lands upon your profile. Number 11. Children are the future. A few proud parent pictures actually prove encouraging. The existence of children provides additional fuel sources and is invariably, but not always, evidence that you're a caring and giving person, something that we like to see. If, however, your timeline and photo album are plastered with your offspring, then this puts us off. You might think that someone who is busy with a child or children would be in need of attention. They are not. They get plenty from their children. And, more to the point, this tells us that your own attention will be on somebody else and not us. Therefore, our efforts are more than likely to be wasted. Number 12. You don't get many likes or comments. Whatever you happen to post may be interesting, amusing and thoughtful, but you rarely get many comments or likes as we scroll through your timeline. There is an attention deficit waiting to be filled, and here we are. Number 13. Post about your romantic partner. If you're always talking about your romantic partner, how much you love them, how much you miss them and such like, you are going overboard. And this, to us, is a further indicator that there may well be lower self-esteem being evidence, which we can readily exploit. This gets even better if we can see no evidence of reciprocation. We can then ready the love bombers. 14. Poetry. If you post poetry, whether your own or somebody else's, this indicates to us that you're lonely, and therefore you'll be more susceptible to our attention. 15. Membership of support groups. Naturally, this will tell us that you are likely to be empathic and or have special traits, which is most encouraging. But at this early stage, we regard the evidence of this on your social media profile that you are again providing attention to others, which means that there is likely to be a deficit which we can exploit with regards to you. Understand the 15 things that I've told you don't automatically mean that the person is empathic and that they will automatically be ensnared. But what these indicators are just that. Indicators which are more encouraging for us so that we can focus in on you, ready through undertaking further investigative work, perhaps starting the hoovering process to draw you in. Other indicators may cause us to either instinctively or consciously exercise caution and could cause us to move on to a different target if these warning signs are not heavily offset by positive indicators. These are just 15 of the indicators that my kind will look for, either unconsciously or consciously, when utilizing the hunting ground that is social media. Time for you to do some editing. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.